The alien kingdom was beautiful but cold. Tall towers of crystal stone reached high into the sky, shining with strange blue lights. The streets were full of people, yet in every whisper there was fear. That fear always returned to one name, the blind princess. Everyone in the kingdom knew her story. They said she was born with eyes that could not see, but those eyes carried a dangerous power. Some claimed her tears could burn stone, others swore her laughter brought storms. From the moment of her birth she was called cursed. Children were told never to speak her name. Servants left food at her door but never dared to step inside. Guards stood near her chamber but never looked at her directly. And so the princess grew up alone, hidden in shadows, more ghost than royal. But still the fear never left the people. Every rumor made her more terrifying. They believed she was dangerous enough to destroy them all with a single touch. Far away, a human soldier arrived in the city. He had fought in many wars across the stars, and he came not as an enemy but as an observer. He walked the glowing streets and quickly noticed how quiet the people grew whenever the princess was mentioned. He asked a merchant one evening, "Why does your voice shake when you speak of her?" The merchant leaned closer, eyes darting nervously. "Because she is a shadow wrapped in human skin. She is death waiting to happen. Do not go near the cursed one." Many who tried never returned. The soldier frowned. He had heard tales of demons, monsters, and curses before, but he had also learned that fear often hides the truth. He decided then that he would find out for himself who this princess really was. That night, the palace glowed softly under the silver light of the moons. The soldier stood near its tall walls watching. Guards whispered warnings as he passed. "Do not linger. Do not let her notice you." But his heart was restless. If she was truly as dangerous as they claimed, why would they keep her alive at all? Why not end her curse long ago? The contradiction gnawed at him. Something was not right. He slipped quietly into the palace gardens, a place where few dared to go at night. The air was still, the only sound the trickle of a marble fountain. Lanterns glowed faintly, painting the stones in silver and shadow. And then he saw her. The blind princess sat alone on a stone bench near the fountain. Her long silver hair fell down her back like strands of moonlight. Her pale skin glowed softly under the lantern light. Her eyes, clouded and sightless, were lifted to the sky as if she was searching for something she could never see. She looked fragile, but not cursed. Lonely but not terrifying. The soldier froze, his breath caught in his chest. She was not the monster they described. She was simply different. The princess tilted her head slightly as though sensing something. Her lips moved, her voice soft and strange, almost like music. "I cannot see the stars, but I feel them. They sing to me in silence." The soldier's heart tightened. Her words carried sorrow, but also beauty. This was no curse. This was pain buried deep in her soul. He took a step closer, but his boot scraped the stone. The princess stiffened. Her blind eyes turned toward the sound. "Who's there?" she whispered, her voice trembling but steady. "I can hear you." "Do not hide," the soldier held his breath. He had come seeking answers, but he had not expected to be discovered so quickly. Still, he could not run. He wanted to know the truth, and now was his chance. From a distance, he answered quietly, "I mean no harm." The princess tilted her face toward his voice. Her sightless eyes seemed to look straight into him. "You are not one of us. Your heartbeat is different. You are human." The soldier froze in shock. She could not see, yet she had recognized him instantly. Her lips curved into the faintest, saddest smile. "Do you know what they say about me, human? They say I am a curse, that even a single touch of my hand brings death." Her words echoed in the garden, heavy with despair. The soldier felt a chill run down his spine, but he did not back away. Instead, his eyes narrowed. "And do you believe it?" The princess lowered her head. A tear slid down her pale cheek, catching the faint glow of the lantern. "What I believe does not matter. No one has ever dared to find out." The soldier clenched his fists. Her loneliness was heavier than any battlefield he had ever crossed. He looked at her fragile figure sitting alone in silence, and he knew the truth was hidden beneath fear and lies. He whispered to himself, a promise he did not yet understand. "Then maybe I will be the first." Above them the stars burned bright, as if waiting for the moment when destiny would move. The alien city was glowing with strange lights, tall towers made from crystal stones shining in the night. The human soldier walked through the streets, his eyes catching the whispers of fear that followed him. Everyone warned him, stay away from the blind princess. She carries a curse. If you touch her, your soul will be lost. But the human was not the type who believed in rumors. He had seen too much war, too much pain. He knew that sometimes people called someone cursed only because they could not understand them. That thought made his heart restless. Who was she really? Why did they fear her so much? He kept walking near the palace walls. The guards looked at him with suspicion, but they didn't stop him. They thought the human was just curious, like many others who came only to look at the feared princess from a distance. But unlike them, he had no intention of running away. That night the air was silent. The stars were scattered like silver dust in the sky. The soldier found a quiet place near the palace garden, where shadows danced across the marble floor. And there he saw her alone. The blind princess sat on the edge of the palace terrace. Her long silver hair flowed down her back like rivers of light. Her pale skin glowed faintly in the moonlight. Her eyes, though blind, were strangely beautiful. Two orbs of cloudy glass that seemed to reflect the stars above. She was not a monster. She was not a demon. She was simply different. The soldier's heart pounded. He hid behind a broken pillar, watching. She was sitting with her face lifted toward the sky, her hands stretched out as if trying to hold the starlight. She whispered something in a voice so soft it was almost music. I can feel them, the stars. They shine, but I cannot see them. Yet they call to me. The soldier froze. Her words were full of loneliness, yet also full of strength. She was blind, yet she was not weak. She was more alive than the people who feared her. The human leaned closer, careful not to make a sound. He noticed that her back carried faint scars, as if she had been whipped long ago. His chest grew heavy with anger. How could anyone treat her like this? Suddenly, a breeze carried his scent toward her. The princess stiffened. Her head tilted slightly. She spoke again, louder this time. Who's there? I know someone is watching me. The soldier's breath caught. For a moment he thought of leaving, but then courage held him in place. He had come this far. He couldn't turn back now. He took a step forward but said nothing. The princess stood slowly, her posture graceful yet filled with quiet tension. She lifted her chin, her blind eyes searching the air as though she could see through the darkness. You are not like the others, she whispered. The air around you, it does not carry fear. It carries questions. The soldier's eyes widened. She couldn't see, but somehow she could sense his thoughts, his heart. Finally, he stepped out of the shadows. His boots scraped the stone, his armor catching the silver glow of the moon. The princess turned toward the sound, and even though her eyes were unseeing, it felt as if she was looking directly into his soul. The soldier cleared his throat, his voice calm but steady. I only wanted to see if the stories were true. She tilted her head. And what do you see now? The soldier paused, his gaze softening. I see no monster, only a girl who has been left alone in the dark. The princess's lips trembled, but she quickly controlled herself. No one had ever spoken to her this way. No one had dared. For years she had been treated as an omen, a shadow, a curse. And yet this human, a stranger, called her a girl. A person. For a long moment silence filled the garden. The soldier felt the weight of the stars above, the quiet rhythm of his heart and the strange pull of destiny. He did not know why, but he felt that his life had changed the moment he stepped closer to her. The princess finally lowered her hands. Her voice was softer now, almost breaking. Why are you not afraid? The soldier smiled faintly, though she could not see it. Because fear is for those who refuse to understand. I have seen war, death, and destruction. Compared to that, how can I fear you? The words sank into her heart like gentle fire. She turned her face slightly away as if hiding her emotions, but a single tear escaped and slid down her cheek. She whispered again, almost to herself, Then maybe, you are the first one who sees me for what I truly am. The soldier took a deep breath, his chest tight with emotion. He wanted to say more, but he knew the time was not right. Instead, he silently promised himself he would uncover the truth about her. He would find out why she was feared, and he would stand by her no matter what. Above them, the stars burned brighter, as if the universe itself was listening. The night air grew heavy after their first words. The human soldier stood just a few steps away from the blind princess. She still faced him with those strange, clouded eyes, and though they saw nothing, he felt she was looking deeper than anyone else ever had. The city outside the palace walls was asleep, but inside the garden everything was awake. The soft rustling of leaves, the faint glow from crystal lanterns, and the slow rhythm of two hearts that had never met before tonight. The soldier's hand rested on the hilt of his blade, not because he wanted to fight, but because it was habit. He had survived countless battles, but somehow, facing this fragile figure filled him with a nervousness he had never felt in war. The princess tilted her head, her silver hair brushing across her shoulders. "You are human," she said quietly. "I can hear the beat of your heart. It is fast but steady. Humans always hide their fear with courage. Which one are you hiding tonight?" The soldier swallowed hard. He knew she was testing him, weighing his truth. Slowly he released the hilt of his sword and raised his empty hands. "I hide nothing," he answered. "I only came to meet the one everyone else avoids." Her lips curved into something between a sad smile and a frown. "They call me cursed. They say if you touch me, you will lose your soul. Do you believe that too?" The soldier's eyes stayed locked on her. "I believe people fear what they cannot explain. That is not the same as truth." For the first time, the princess lowered her guard just a little. She stepped forward, her bare feet silent on the stone. The air seemed to grow warmer as she moved closer. The soldier could see faint glowing marks on her skin, like delicate patterns of light hidden beneath the surface. They pulsed gently, almost like the veins of a living star. The soldier could not stop himself from whispering, "You're not cursed. You're luminous," her breath caught. No one had ever spoken such words to her. Every phrase she had ever heard was sharp, cruel, or full of fear. Yet this human described her as light. A pause stretched between them, filled with tension that neither wanted to break. Finally, the princess lifted one trembling hand. She raised it slowly, as if unsure whether she had the right to reach out. The soldier's chest tightened. He knew what everyone said. Touch her and you will vanish, or worse. But he also knew what he felt right now. She was not dangerous, only lonely. Step by step, he closed the distance. His boots echoed faintly against the stone floor until he stood before her. She stopped moving, her hand frozen in the air. The soldier took a long breath. Then carefully he extended his own hand. His fingers brushed against hers. For an instant, silence exploded into a storm. The glowing marks on her skin flared brighter, light spilling across the garden. The soldier felt a sudden rush of energy surge through him, as if his very soul had been touched by fire and ice at the same time. His body stiffened, but he did not pull away. The princess gasped softly, her blind eyes widening. You did not fall," she whispered in disbelief. "No screaming, no pain. You still stand." The soldier tightened his grip gently around her delicate fingers. "Why would I fall? You are no curse. You are alive like me." The glowing light softened. Instead of chaos, it settled into a calm warmth that wrapped around them both. It was not destruction. It was healing. The soldier's old scars tingled, and for the first time in years, the ache in his shoulder vanished. The princess's lips trembled. Tears slipped down her cheeks. "All these years, no one dared to touch me. They all believed the lies. But why risk yourself?" The soldier's voice grew firm. "Because someone had to. Someone had to see you for who you are, not what they fear." Her knees weakened, but she held herself tall. She was a princess, after all. Yet inside, her world was breaking and rebuilding at the same time. For the first time in her life, she did not feel like a curse. She felt like a person. The air in the garden shifted. Beyond the walls, whispers spread. Some guards had seen the light burst from her body. They rushed to report to the Alien Council. Fear would grow again. Rumors would spread faster than truth. But inside the garden, none of that mattered. The princess still clung to the human's hand, afraid that if she let go, he would vanish like a dream. The soldier, sensing her fear, spoke gently. "I will not leave, not until I understand everything." Her blind eyes turned toward him, wet with tears but shining with a new kind of hope. Then maybe the curse ends tonight. Above them, the stars burned brighter as if blessing this impossible bond. The garden that had been filled with silence was now alive with something new. Trust, fragile yet unshakable, born from the first encounter of two souls who were never meant to meet. And though neither of them could see the future, they both knew this was only the beginning. The blind princess stood frozen in the quiet garden, her trembling fingers still wrapped around the human soldier's hand. She had expected screams, fire, or collapse, just like the stories the council spread for years. But nothing happened. Instead, the soldier's grip was steady, warm, alive. Her lips parted in disbelief. You are still here. The soldier nodded. His dark eyes did not waver. I told you I'm not afraid. For her, those words were heavier than stone. She had spent her whole life locked in shadows, shunned even by her own people. Servants dropped food at her door and ran. Guards spoke of her in whispers but never dared look at her. And now a stranger, an outsider, a human, had not only seen her but dared to touch her. The glow that had burst from her body earlier softened into a gentle light, circling them both like drifting fireflies. It wasn't destructive. It was beautiful. The soldier noticed that his aching scars no longer hurt. Old wounds from battles across galaxies now felt healed, as if the princess's touch had erased years of pain. The princess drew in a shaky breath. Her voice was almost breaking. All my life they told me that if anyone touched me, they would vanish. So I prayed no one ever would. I thought my hands only carried death. The soldier squeezed her hand gently, shaking his head. Your hands do not carry death. They carry hope. Maybe your people were too blind to see it, but I am not. Her eyes filled with tears. Blind as they were, they reflected the glow around them like two mirrors of glass. She had never been called hope before. She had been called curse, shadow, danger, but never hope. The moment hung heavy. It was fragile yet powerful. The princess did not let go. Her slender fingers tightened around his as if terrified that the warmth might fade. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed through the garden. The soldier's body tensed. Several alien guards rushed in, their armor shining in the dim light. They had seen the strange glow from outside. Weapons drawn, they shouted warnings. Step away from her, human. Do not touch the cursed one. The soldier stood tall, his hands still locked with the princess's. He didn't flinch. If she were cursed, I would not be standing here. The guards hesitated. Their eyes darted to the princess, then back to him. Their fear was clear, but so was their confusion. For the first time, the old lie wavered. The princess turned toward the sound of the guards, her voice trembling but strong. Leave him, she commanded. He is not harmed. He sees me as I am. Her voice, though soft, carried authority. She was still their princess. The guards lowered their weapons slowly, but unease rippled through them. One of them whispered, "This cannot be." He should have collapsed. He should be gone. The soldier looked at them firmly. Maybe the truth is different from what you have been told. The guards exchanged nervous glances. They had been raised on the belief that she was a walking curse, a danger to the entire kingdom. Yet here was a human soldier, alive and unharmed, his hand still joined with hers. The princess lifted her chin slightly, her blind eyes glowing faintly in the light. For years you feared my hands. Tonight one reached for me, and nothing you believed came true. Her words pierced the silence like a blade. The guards looked uneasy, caught between the fear of the past and the reality before them. The soldier gently guided her forward, stepping into the center of the garden where the lanterns cast a brighter glow. His voice was calm, but it carried weight. Look at her. Do you see a monster, or do you see a woman who has been left alone because of lies? The princess's grip did not loosen. For the first time in her life, she stood tall beside someone who was not afraid. The warmth from his hand spread through her like sunlight breaking into a cave long buried in darkness. Her heart beat wildly, faster than it ever had. This human, this stranger, had done what no one else dared. He had reached for her hand. And in that simple act, he had shattered years of fear. Tears slipped down her cheeks again, but this time they were not only of pain. They were of release. She whispered, her voice trembling but clear enough for the guards to hear. You see, the curse was never in my hands. The curse was in your fear. The soldier tightened his grip, his voice steady. And fear can be broken. Tonight proves it. The glow dimmed slowly, leaving only the soft moonlight on their joined hands. The garden grew quiet again, but it was no longer the silence of fear. It was the silence of change. The guards lowered their weapons fully, though uncertainty lingered in their eyes. One of them finally spoke, almost reluctantly. If this is true, then everything we were told was a lie. The soldier met his gaze. Then it's time you see the truth. She is not your curse. She is your princess. The blind princess lifted her face toward the stars, her tears still fresh but her heart lighter than ever before. She whispered softly. Not to the soldier, not to the guards, but to the universe itself. For the first time, someone held my hand and did not let go. The stars seemed to burn brighter in answer, as if the cosmos itself blessed this fragile, impossible bond. And though danger still lingered in the shadows of the kingdom, Tonight marked the first step into a new dawn. The garden slowly emptied of tension after the guards lowered their weapons. They still looked shaken, whispering among themselves, but they obeyed their princess's command. The blind princess stood tall beside the human soldier, their hands still joined. For her, it was the first time she had felt like more than a shadow. For him, it was the beginning of a truth he could not yet explain. When the guards finally stepped back, silence returned. The soldier looked at the princess, his eyes steady. "You are not cursed," he said again, as if repeating it would make her believe. Her lips curved into the faintest smile, but her voice was filled with doubt. If that were true, why did everyone fear me for so long? Fear is not born from nothing. There must be something inside me they could not face. The soldier shook his head. Fear does not always come from truth. Sometimes it comes from lies that grow too powerful. But deep inside, the princess knew something more. There was a reason she had been locked away, a reason the council whispered her name only with dread. The glow that had erupted when she touched him, that was no ordinary light. It was a force even she did not understand. That night, when the guards finally left, the soldier stayed near her. He sat by the fountain while she stood still, her pale face lifted to the sky. After a long silence, she spoke softly. "There is something I must tell you. Something even I fear." The soldier leaned forward, his eyes locked on her. "Tell me." She pressed her hand over her heart. Her fingers glowed faintly beneath her skin, as though the light was alive inside her veins. "When I was a child, before they locked me away, strange things happened around me. If I cried, crops withered. If I laughed, storms came. And once, when I was angry, the whole hall shook until the walls cracked." Her blind eyes shimmered as she turned toward him. They feared I would destroy everything. Perhaps they were not wrong. The soldier stood, moving closer. His voice was calm but strong. "And yet, when you touched me, you did not destroy. You healed. My scars, old wounds that never faded, are gone. How can destruction heal?" The princess's lips parted in surprise. She had not noticed before, but now she felt it too. His heartbeat was steady, his body carried no ache, and his spirit seemed lighter. Her hand trembled. "Healing. I never thought of that. All I have known is fear." The soldier placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Then maybe your gift has always been misunderstood. Maybe you were not born to bring ruin, but to bring life." Her breath caught. The words dug deep into her soul, planting a seed she had never dared to water. Hope. But the moment was interrupted. A sudden cry echoed through the garden walls. Two alien children, servants of the palace, ran in. One was limping, his leg twisted badly, his small face wet with tears. The other tried to hold him upright, but the boy fell to the ground, groaning in pain. The soldier rushed forward, kneeling beside the child. He looked at the injury and frowned. "The bone is broken." He turned to the guards nearby. "Get a healer." But before anyone could move, the blind princess stepped forward. Her hands trembled as she reached out. Everyone froze. One of the guards shouted, "No, don't let her touch the boy, she will curse him." The soldier snapped, his voice sharp. "Enough, do you not see? She is not a curse." The princess ignored their fear. Slowly, she knelt beside the injured child. Her glowing fingers hovered above the twisted leg. For a moment, her breath came in shallow gasps, her mind filled with doubt. What if they were right? What if she hurt him? But then she remembered the soldier's words. "You healed me." Her hands rested gently on the boy's leg. A soft light spread from her fingertips, sinking into the wound. The boy gasped, his cries softening into silence. His face, twisted with pain, relaxed. Slowly, before the eyes of everyone, the twisted bone straightened. The swelling faded. Within moments, the child sat up, whole again. Gasps filled the garden. The guard stepped back in shock. The other child hugged his friend, crying with relief. The boy looked at the princess, awe in his eyes. "You saved me." Tears spilled down her cheeks. For the first time, her hands had not brought fear or anger. They had brought healing. She whispered, voice trembling, "I am not a curse. I am something else." The soldier's chest swelled with pride. He stood tall and turned toward the guards. "You see, she carries no destruction. She carries life. This is the truth you tried to bury." The guards had no words. Some lowered their heads in shame. Others simply stared, unable to believe what they had witnessed. The princess rose slowly, her hand still glowing faintly. She turned to the soldier. "If I can heal, then why did they keep me locked away? Why did they call me cursed?" The soldier's eyes darkened. He knew the answer, but also knew it would be dangerous to say aloud. Because fear is power, and those who control fear control the people. The princess understood. The council, the leaders, they had used her as a tool, turning her into a symbol of terror to maintain control. But tonight, that lie had cracked. She lifted her glowing hands and whispered to herself, "Then maybe my hidden power is not a curse at all. Maybe it is the beginning of change." The soldier nodded, his voice steady and sure. "And I will stand beside you when that change comes." Above them, the stars seemed to flare brighter, as if they too had been waiting for this moment. The blind princess was no longer only feared. Tonight she had shown the world a glimpse of her hidden power, and it was nothing less than a miracle. The garden was silent after the boy stood up on his healed leg. The child moved it again and again, laughing with disbelief. His friend clapped and shouted with joy. The guards, who only a moment ago had shouted warnings, now stared with wide eyes. The blind princess still knelt on the ground, her glowing hands trembling. Tears streaked her pale face, but this time they were not only from pain. They were from relief. For years she had believed she was dangerous, but tonight she had proven something else. She was not death. She was life. The soldier bent beside her, placing his steady hand on her shoulder. His voice was low but full of pride. "You gave him hope. Do you see it now? You are not what they told you." Her lips quivered. But will they believe it? Fear has been their truth for too long. The soldier looked around at the guards. Their armor still shone under the faint glow, but their expressions were changed. No longer pure fear. Now there was hesitation, confusion, even wonder. One guard finally broke the silence. "I saw it with my own eyes. The boy was broken, and now he is whole. She saved him." Another muttered, almost ashamed, "All these years, we guarded her not from danger but from ourselves." The whispers grew louder. For the first time in her life, the princess heard something she had never expected. Not curses, not shouts of terror, but voices of awe. The boy ran forward, wrapping his arms around her trembling figure. "Thank you, princess. Thank you." The warmth of the embrace melted her heart. She had never been touched without fear or disgust. Now a child's innocent arms clung to her as if she were a protector. Her sightless eyes turned upward, and her tears shone like tiny stars. The soldier helped her rise, keeping his hand steady in hers. He raised his voice toward the guards. "This is your truth. For years you bowed to lies. Tonight you saw the light with your own eyes. Will you still fear her, or will you respect her?" The guards exchanged glances. They had lived their whole lives in terror of her shadow, but now that shadow had turned into a miracle. Slowly, one by one, they lowered their heads in respect. The princess gasped softly. Respect. Not fear. Respect. She had never known the difference until this moment. But the victory was fragile. In the distance, horns blared, a signal from the council tower. The soldier frowned. "They know," he muttered. "The council must have heard the reports. They will not allow this truth to spread. Fear gave them power. They will not let go easily." The princess tightened her grip on his hand. Her blind eyes glowed faintly as if reflecting determination she had never known before. Then we must show more. If they try to bury me again, the people must already see who I truly am. As the horn calls echoed through the night, more citizens began to gather outside the palace gates. Word of the healing had spread quickly, carried on voices faster than the council could stop. Men, women, and children whispered in disbelief. Some pressed against the gates, calling out, "Is it true? Did she heal the boy?" The guards hesitated, unsure what to say. The soldier stepped forward, his voice clear. "It is true. Your princess is no curse. She saved a child tonight with her gift." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some still looked afraid, but others leaned closer, desperate to see her. The princess stepped forward slowly. Her sightless eyes scanned the air as if she could feel every gaze upon her. Her voice trembled at first, but grew steady. "All my life you feared my hands, but tonight I touched pain and turned it into healing. I am not your curse. I am your strength, if you will let me be." Her words spread through the crowd like fire in dry grass. The people murmured to one another, voices shifting from fear to wonder. Mothers held their children tighter. Fathers nodded slowly. Some even bowed. The soldier watched it all unfold, pride burning in his chest. He had seen battles won with weapons, but never had he seen hearts change with truth. This was more powerful than any war. Yet in the shadows above the gates, council spies whispered to each other, their faces twisted in anger. "She breaks the fear. If the people believe, we lose control. We must act before dawn." Inside the garden, the princess felt the weight of what was coming. She turned to the soldier, her voice low. "They will try to silence me." He nodded grimly. "Let them try. They will face me first." Her hand squeezed his. For the first time, she was not trembling in fear, but in determination. The respect she had tasted tonight gave her courage. She whispered softly, as if making a vow. "No matter what they do, I will not hide again. If my power brings healing, then I will heal. If my voice brings change, then I will speak. I am not their curse. I am their princess." The soldier smiled, his eyes shining. "And I will stand beside you." The crowd outside began chanting, soft at first, then louder. "Princess. Princess." The garden, once a place of silence and shadows, was now filled with voices of respect. The blind princess lifted her face to the stars, and though she could not see them, she felt them burning above her. For the first time, she was no longer feared. She was respected. But in the darkness beyond, the council prepared their response. The night sky was alive with voices. The chant of "Princess, Princess," grew louder outside the palace walls. What had begun as a whisper of disbelief had become a wave of hope. For the first time in years, the people no longer spoke of her as a curse, but as a savior. The blind princess stood tall in the garden, her trembling hands still joined with the human soldiers. She could not see the faces pressed against the gates, but she felt their energy. Every heartbeat, every cheer, every voice of awe. It vibrated in the air like a song she had longed to hear all her life. But hope was fragile, and power was cruel. Inside the palace, the council gathered in anger. They had built their rule on fear, and now that fear was crumbling. One elder slammed his hand against the table. "The human has poisoned her mind. He must be removed. If she becomes a symbol, the people will turn against us." Another sneered. "We cannot let this lie spread. At dawn, we will declare her a danger and have her executed. If she resists, we will call it justice." The chamber filled with nods and whispers of agreement. They had already decided. Truth would be buried and fear would return. Back in the garden, the soldier sensed danger. He had fought in enough wars to know when shadows were gathering. His eyes searched the high walls, spotting faint movement. Council spies watching, planning. He turned to the princess, his voice firm. "They will act soon. They will not allow your light to rise." The princess's sightless eyes glowed faintly. "Then I will not wait for them to strike. I will show my people the truth before they silence me." The soldier admired her courage. Once she had been a prisoner of fear. Now she spoke like a leader. As dawn approached, more people gathered. The gates could no longer hold the crowd. The garden filled with voices of expectation. Mothers lifted their children onto their shoulders. Old men leaned on staffs. Young warriors stood tall, ready to protect. The soldier raised his voice, strong and clear. "People of this kingdom, look at your princess. For years you were told she carried death. Tonight you saw her heal with her hands. You saw her save a child's life. The crowd roared with agreement. The guards who once stood as barriers now lowered their spears and stepped aside. Some even joined the people, bowing their heads toward the princess. The princess lifted her chin, her voice trembling at first but steady with each word. I was called cursed since birth. I was locked away in darkness. But you saw with your own eyes what my hands can do. I do not bring death. I bring healing. I am not your curse. I am your hope. Her words spread like fire through dry fields. The people raised their fists, shouting louder. Hope, hope. For the first time in her life, she was not alone. She was not feared. She was followed. But then, the council struck. A group of armored enforcers stormed into the garden, their weapons glowing with deadly light. At their front, a council elder shouted, "This is treason. The princess must be taken. She endangers us all." The crowd gasped in fear. The old reflex of terror tried to return, but the soldier stepped forward, drawing his blade. His voice cut through the chaos. No, you endanger them with lies. Tonight the truth belongs to the people. The enforcers advanced. The people stepped back in panic. But before a single weapon could fall, the princess raised her glowing hands. The air pulsed with energy. The enforcers froze, their blades trembling. She spoke with a power that shook the garden walls. No more lies. No more fear. I will not let you bury me again. A brilliant light erupted from her body, not harsh but radiant, spreading like dawn across the kingdom. The crowd shielded their eyes, but none turned away. The enforcers dropped their weapons, their armor glowing until it burned too hot to hold. They fell to their knees, unable to resist. The council elder screamed, "She will destroy us all." But the boy she healed ran forward, standing at her side. "No, she saved me. She saves us." The soldier stood beside them, his sword still drawn, but he knew he didn't need it now. Her light was stronger than any weapon he had ever carried. The people roared, their voices breaking the fear that had ruled them for generations. "Princess! Princess!" The council spies tried to flee, but the guards who once obeyed them now blocked their path. For the first time, the council's power was broken. The light dimmed slowly, leaving the princess standing tall, her hand still joined with the soldiers. Her blind eyes glowed faintly, but her voice was calm. "This is not the end of me. This is the beginning of us." The soldier looked at her, his chest heavy with pride. "Then a new dawn rises, princess. A dawn no council can stop." The crowd erupted in cheers. The first rays of real dawn broke across the sky, bathing the palace in gold. The blind princess lifted her face toward the light she could not see but could feel. For the first time, the warmth on her skin matched the warmth in her heart. It was not fear that greeted the new day. It was respect, and it was the start of a new era.